You are doing lesson 2.4 warm-ups. Okay, there's two of them. You can see them here on the screen. Shh. You're finding the distance between 2 points on a graph. Okay. Do you need a hint? 7th grade, do you need a hint on how to do this? Oh, inception going on here. Hold on. Here we go. All right, so look at these 2 points. You have your x values and your y values. Are any of these points the same? Yes. Which ones? -7. The y values. So all I need to do is find the distance between the x values.
3.
So you put a 3 here. Now look at this one. What is the same on this one?
1.
X or y's?
Y.
I was going to say, what one are you talking about?
X.
Y.
The y's are the same. They're both 8s. Shh. 8th grade, I will make you not talk if you can't handle it. The y values are the same, so we're finding the distance between the x values. This is a -9 and a +8. What is the distance between a -9?
8.
No. No. Think of where the -9 is on a number line and where the +8 is. 17.
Big brain.
Okay, from the -9 way over here to the +8 way over here is a very long distance on the number line. So you actually add those two, 9 and 8, and ignore the negative. Do you have a question?
Yes.
What?
On the first one, would it be correct if you put parentheses 3, comma 0? Would it be wrong?
Yeah, it's not asking for a point. It's asking for the distance between it. All right, so for this lesson, we're multiplying rational numbers, aka fractions in this case. So we're going to multiply using the same rules for signs as we did with integers. So if I have a negative times a positive, what's my answer going to be? A positive or negative?
Negative.
A negative, because the negative wins, right? When you're multiplying fractions, do I have to get a common denominator?
Yeah. Yes. No.
No. You only have to get a common denominator for addition and subtraction. For multiplication and division, Joel, do I have to? No? Okay, so how do you multiply fractions? Joel? Put your hands down. I called on Joel. How do you multiply fractions? Shh.
Say what's even. The bottom of the top.
You don't have to find a common denominator. That's what we were just discussing. Maybe you should listen. McDiego?
You just need a multiplying number.
Which numbers?
2.
There we go. Multiply the top numbers to get 2. Multiply the bottom numbers to get 21.
And since the signs are different on both the numbers.
The negative wins, yes. Okay? And it's the same thing if it's in parentheses versus out of parentheses. It's the same. The difference here is we have a negative times a negative. So what's my answer going to be? Positive. All right. Hope that's in your journals. Okay, let's do example 1 together. Write this down. Example 1 in your journals. We're going to find -2.5 times 3.6. Okay? So, first, negative times a positive, what's my answer going to be? Negative. It is -2. Not negative. It's a negative answer. Then what you have to do is just line up your decimals and multiply. So you're going to line them up vertically with the decimals lined up. Okay? Then we're going to do multiplication, how you've always done it. 6 times 5. Carry the 3. 6 times 2.
12.
Times 2 is 12, plus 3 is
15.
Okay, and then now I've done this place value, so I put a 0 underneath. 3 times 5 is?
15.
Carry the 1. 3 times 2.
6.
Plus 1.
Yes, 7. Yay.
Okay, now we're going to add these. 0 plus 0 is?
0.
5 plus 5 is?
10.
Carry the 1. 7 plus 1 plus 1 is?
10. 9.
Okay, now where do I put my decimal?
On the 0.
How many numbers are to the right of a decimal here? There's 2. So I'm going to count twice and put a decimal. So 1, 2, put a decimal. So my answer is a negative what?
9.
Negative 9. Any questions on how we did this? Sorry. Any questions on this one?
No.
All right, so that was A. Now we're going to do B. Example 1A, now 1B. Okay, now we're going to do fractions. Okay, the one thing you need to remember when multiplying fractions is if you have a mixed number, what do you need to do to it? No.
Oh, wait, no. I need to make it.
Make Diego. Shh. Make it improper fraction. Okay, we have a negative times a negative, which means the answer is going to be?
Positive.
Very good. So I can pretty much ignore those negatives. Okay, so 1/3 times 2 3/4. So let's make this 2 3/4 improper. Oh, man. Go back. So how do I make this improper? 4 times 2, which is?
8.
8 plus 3?
11.
11. So then this becomes 11 over 4. So I have 1/3 times 11 over 4. Daisy, Sydney, go back to your seats. Okay, so now that I have it as an improper fraction, I can do what? Multiply straight across. What is 11 times 1?
11.
What is 4 times 3?
12.
So 11 twelfths. So that's your answer. Yep. Very good. All right, you may do your try-its. Does everybody have this? May I close this? So you're going to write down negative 1/7 times 4/5. Where's my click? Times negative 7 times negative 1/2. So the nice thing is here we can use some properties of multiplication in order to help us find this product. Long story short, we can rearrange things to do this faster. Because the entire thing is what? Are we doing anything other than multiplication here? No. So when everything is being multiplied by everything, you can rearrange things. So if I see this negative 1/7 times what would this be as a fraction, a whole number?
7.
Say it. 7 over 1. Everything becomes over 1. So if I have negative 1/7 times 7 over 1, what are those considered? They're inverses of each other, right? So they're essentially going to cancel each other out. So you have negative 7 over 1 times 1 over 7 that you would do first. Write this down. Okay? So, what is negative 7 over 1 times negative 1 over 7? Negative times a negative is a? Positive. 7 times 1 is?
7.
And then the bottom one is 1 times 7.
7.
So I get 7 over 7. What is 7 over 7?
1.
1. So you see how they just got 1 here. Does that make sense? Kind of? Let me grab my whiteboard. All right, so let me write this so you see it more clearly. So we had negative 7, right?
Yes.
Times 1 over 7.
Yes.
Also negative, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so this whole number is 7 over 1. Right? Any whole number, you just write it over 1. Okay, negative times a negative became a positive. So now I just multiply. What is 7 times 1?
7.
Over, and then another 1 times 7.
1.
Okay? I know, I'm just visually showing everybody. So now to simplify 7 over 7, you think, can I divide 7 by 7?
Yes.
1 time. Okay? So that's how we went from all of this to just a 1. Okay? See how we've only done the first two fractions here. Okay? So now we need to multiply times 4/5, and then again times negative 1/2. So look at this real quick. I have a positive times a positive. My answer is going to be what?
1/5.
Positive. And then a positive times a negative means my answer is going to be a negative. Very good. What is 1 times 4/5?
1.
Times. You're adding. What's? It's just 4/5. Any number times 1 is that number, right? So essentially now we can just get rid of the 1. Right?
Yes.
So now we just have to multiply this the last two fractions. So positive times a negative is a negative. What is 4 times 1?
4.
5 times 2?
10.
So we should get negative 4 over 10.
Can you simplify that?
Yep, which they're doing in the middle of it, which is fine. Negative 4 over 10 can be reduced to 2/5.
Yeah.
Okay, let me show this to you. So we got negative 4/10, right? We were doing it verbally.
Yes.
Okay, what number can I divide into both of those? Divide by 2. You should be writing this down. Negative 4 divided by 2 is?
2
And 10 divided by 2 is?
5.
5. So that's how you reduce this. Simplify that fraction. Do you want me to show you how they simplified before they did the multiplication? They simplified the problem before they multiplied. Which is great. It makes it easier because then the multiplication is simpler. So let me show it to you. It was 4/5, right? Times negative 1/2.
Negative.
All right, so they reduced or simplified within the problem before we did the multiplication. So you look at this across and say, is there anything that I can divide? Can I divide anything into the 5 and the 1?
No.
Nothing but a 1, right? That doesn't help us. But can I divide anything into the 4 and the 2? Yes, I can divide them by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is?
1.
4 divided by 2 is?
2.
So now I multiply straight across. I get 2 times 1, which is 2. That's negative. And then 5 times 1, which is? So you see we got the same answer. We just simplified before we did the multiplication. For small fractions, before or after you do the multiplication doesn't really matter. When these are really large fractions, it makes it much easier to simplify it before you do the multiplication. Because then you don't get like these huge 100 over 100 numbers. It's already simplified. Yes, sir.
If we were to be missing, do you stream your YouTube videos live?
I don't stream them live. I record them so you can go watch them later.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Any questions on this example?
No.
Everybody got it in your journals?
Yeah.
All right. Go do your tries. Else? In your journals, write example 3.
Okay.
A school record for the 40-meter dash is 15.24 seconds. Predict the school's record after 15 years when the record decreases by about 0.6 seconds per year. Okay, so we need to create a formula. Y'all are not seeing what I'm seeing. Uno momento. All right, so now we're going to create a verbal model to solve this. Okay, so the school record after 15 years is what we're trying to solve, yes? Joaquin? Mm-hmm. We're going to take this current school record, and what are we going to do to it? Decrease it.
By 0.06.
Decrease it by the number of years times the average change. Very good. So let's plug in our numbers. So we know our current record is what?
15.4.
15.24. How many years are we going?
15 years.
15 times, what was the yearly change?
0.06.
0.06. Are we going faster or slower? So we're it's going to be a negative 0.06 because we're running faster. Okay, so here is our problem we have to solve in order to find the school record 15 years from now. So what is 15 times negative 0.06?
15. No.
times, not add. So negative times a positive, so my answer is negative. Yep.
Yeah, I did it.
So 15.24 minus 0.9 is what?
14 point. I hate my 2 math. 15 point. No. 14.7.
14.34. You guys can use your calculators, you know?
I tried.
14.34. So in 15 years, the school record should be 14.34 seconds.
Yeah, that decreases by.
They ran 0.9 seconds faster 15 years from now.
That's saddening.
It sounds saddening, but can you run that fast?
Yes.
No. All right. So, you don't have to do that part. Any questions?
No.
What's your question?
I said I meant no.
Okay. So everybody got this in your journals?
Yeah.
All right. You may do the last two try-its. Self-assessments, 12 and 13. And I believe that's all. Yep. So just 12 and 13, and then you're done, 7th grade.
Yeah.
All right, so this is number 13. Terminal velocity is the fastest speed that an object can fall through the air. This is when gravity took hold of it. A skydiver reaches a terminal velocity of 120 miles per hour. What is the change in elevation of the skydiver after falling at a terminal velocity for 15 seconds? Okay, so this is per hour, yes?
Yeah.
So we need it in what? Seconds. Let me grab my whiteboard. Okay, come on, new slide. What is going on? All right. Okay, so 120 miles per hour. Okay, we need it in seconds because we're gonna calculate for how far did he fall in 15 seconds. So we got to convert this. Okay, how many seconds are in an hour?
60. 60 minutes. Oh.
60 minutes are in an hour. How many seconds are there?
60.
60 minutes are in an hour.
20,000.
No. Okay, listen. Silencio. If there are 60 minutes in an hour, how many seconds are in a minute?
6,000.
How many seconds are in a minute? 60. So if there's 60 seconds in 1 minute, and we have 60 minutes,
120.
you can do 60 times 60. Sydney? 3,600.
I remember doing this in Mr. Nelson's class
That
last
was
year.
totally me.
And in my class, you did it a bunch.
I don't remember doing it in your class. I only remember doing
I
it.
see how it is.
I thought we were doing geometry in your class the entire year.
No. All right, so now we have this. We can convert this. Miles times this is, what's 120 times 1?
120.
Okay. What's 3,600 times 1?
3,600.
So now I can take 120 miles and divide it by 3,600 seconds. Go, calculator, go.
0.3.
30. It's 0.0.
0.3 miles
And
per second.
There we go. Just goes on forever.
Okay.
It's not 0.3, it's 0.03.
Zero point.
That's not what he said. All right, so now that you have that, 0.03 miles per second, how many seconds did this dude fall?
5.
15 seconds. Y'all need to learn to read.
I can see.
So that times 15 is what?
0.45.
No.
Okay, the problem is they did it by the... Okay, so take your calculators and do 120 divided by the 3600, and you'll see that it's the 0.0333 forever. Leave that in your calculator and take that times 15.
Wait, 120 times 0.9 divided by what?
Leave it as that 0.03 that goes on forever, and multiply that times 15, and you'll get the 0.5. Okay? You can't round it before you do the next multiplication, or otherwise you get the wrong answer. Okay, so the change in... Let me go back over here.
Wait,
Elevation is 0.5 mile. Do you think he was going up or going down?
down.
So is it a positive elevation or negative? So it'd be negative 0.5.
Yes. Justify your answer.
That just means explain what you did. All right, any other questions? All right, you're almost